Okay, hopefully my microphone doesn't go fuzzy the way it did on the last video. There were a couple of moments where it fuzzed out for no reason. I'm not sure. Maybe someone's using ground penetrating radar nearby. I don't know. So this one is from the essay that you can read. It's always free on my free blog. Just close the pop-up. So you search Anthony Repetto, and the title of the essay is "If You Want to Steal My Ideas." And this one's called the Scotch Candle because it's pretty badass. So the idea is you're going to take a wide diameter branch, just a bough that's coming off of a tree. You're going to cut it down, clear off the side branches, and you're going to penetrate the fibers of the wood with a low temperature wax. You can blend paraffin and add oils and lower the temperature. I describe in the essay how you can do this using medieval technology, just with a wine press, pressing the molten wax into a leather collar tightened around the bow. And you put that in a ceramic chamber that is attached to a series of ceramic jugs that are full of water. And as you vent the water, it's going to pull a partial vacuum around the branch, which is going to help remove the air molecules and water molecules from the fibers, which makes it much easier for the wax to penetrate. So you're going to penetrate the wood fibers with wax, and that's going to add, basically, it's going to double the fuel capacity of the wood. You have manufactured fat wood from a branch. And now that you have this branch full of wax, you're going to take it and drill a wide hole down the center of the branch, just part way. This would be a big Forstner bit. Once you have that chalice dug, then you're going to drill a narrower channel further down the branch. And then that's only halfway, 2/3 of the way before you drill a smaller tunnel all the way out to the tapered base. So you've got the wide top and the tapered base. And now you have a hole going all the way through the branch. And on top of that, you're going to have to lay it in a jig and drill out along the sides many holes at the level of the chalice. And these holes are going to be conical, so they're going to be a narrow opening inside the chalice and a wide opening on the outside face. And these, if you're looking down from the top of the chalice, then the holes are going to punch in at an angle like that. So they form a spiral. And what's going to happen is there's also, you want to bevel the top of the chalice. So the chalice rim, you want it to have a sharp bevel right here, and you'll see why. We're going to light a candle inside the hole at the base of the handle of this torch. So the flame is going to start traveling up the inside pipe that we've drilled, and it's going to go all the way to the top. And as the flame rises, it creates a suction that pulls in air from those conical holes that we drilled along the sides. And because they're oriented in a spiral, the air flowing in forms a spiral. And that secondary inflow of air is what's going to allow the combustion of any remaining gases in the flame. So you now have a Vortex rocket stove torch. It's pretty cool. And you want that bevel, that sharp edge bevel on the inside lip, so that as the flame rises, it doesn't travel over the edge. You don't want the flame to travel around the outside of the torch. And so those torches have many different utilities. The key concept of how it's operating is that the wood on the inner surface of that bore that you've drilled, the wood is going to char, and it forms a surface of char. And then the wax that's in the fibers of the wood is going to turn into a gas and exude from that charred surface. Essentially, the charred wood is acting as the wick of a wax candle. And the wax is emanating through that bored hole. So you got a pipe, and the inside of the pipe is releasing wax gases, which are igniting. And as the wax is pulled away, as you've depleted the wax on a surface, that's when the char is going to burn back. So the wick naturally burns back. And you can take this torch and blow through it to exhaust flames. You have a flaming torch trumpet. You have dragon breath, which is pretty cool. You can also have an accordion bellows under your arm with a pipe made of hog gut sealed with linseed oil that feeds into the base of your torch. You just plug it in, and now when you pump the accordion bellows, you're going to pump flame. So this is a medieval flamethrower for fighting trolls. Please ask your dungeon master, your game master, if your party can equip with these medieval flamethrowers. You will have a lot of fun. There are other variants you can do as well. So you've got the top of the torch, the chalice, and then it tapers down to the handle. And now you're going to attach a large scoop-shaped piece of metal around the chalice. Not all the way up at the top, but this scoop-shaped piece of metal is going to catch the wind and funnel it through a pipe into the handle. And so now if you take this and you swing it with the scoop directed toward the direction of travel, you're keeping it like edge alignment on a blade. So the wind is getting pushed into this funnel and through the tube up into the handle. Now when you swing it, the airflow in pushes flame out, and that is a flaming sword. As long as you keep the edge alignment while you're swinging it, you will be pushing flame out ahead of you. So you already have your own arm reach, plus the reach of the torch, plus the reach of the flame. So it'll generally outrange bladed weapons, and it's terrifying. And then you can also weight. You can put a weight on that so that it angles properly. To place it on a chain like a fire poi, you would need 2 attachment points and a bar, and then the chain of the fire poi and a weight underneath to keep it in alignment as you're swinging it around your head. Now, when you're swinging it around your head, it's the metal scoop is going to capture that wind, funnel it through the torch handle. It's going to burst flame out around it, and you will have a ring of fire many yards away from you. And you can position these fire poi torches at a large spacing. You don't need a lot of people with these fire poi torches to create a wall of flame that protects you from cavalry. You can actually do many rows deep of people spinning these fire poi torches, and so that protects your infantry in case that ever comes up. There are other variations as well. So another thing you can do is you have the torch, and at the handle you're going to attach a scoop shape with a blade, and it's got braces around it up the length of the torch where you have bladed wings, and the blade at the base also has a hook, and now you can attach that hook to a trebuchet. So you launch the trebuchet and it throws this torch up into the air, bladed handle first, wings behind, and as the air flows into the scoop of the blade and into the handle, you are jetting flame out the back. Because it's a small opening to a large opening and there's a combustion expansion ratio, it's kind of a medieval rocket. It's a flaming torch projectile. So that would be able to glide much further than a normal projectile. And when it lands, it's going to be spearing whatever it lands in, and then it's going to continue to burn. So anything in the target zone that's above the flames will ignite. So that's another option. And the reason I created it in the first place is so that when you're lighting one of these torches as a group of people who are hiking over land, then you don't need to set up camp as soon as the sun goes down. You can get a few more hours of use out of your time before you have to stop for camp. So you light up one of these torches when the sun gets low. It gets the flame all the way up to the top, and there's a ring of char inside. Now it's brim char. Even heavy rain or snow is not going to put it out. And you can lay a grill on top that you hang kebabs down inside. And you're roasting kebabs while you continue to walk. You got your flame, you're protected from bears and wolves, and you're roasting kebabs. And so you can stop and eat some kebabs, keep doing that in cycles until the torch burns down and you can't fit kebabs in it anymore. That's when you set it in a tripod, just 3 limbs with chain at the bottom so they hold tension. You set it in the tripod, and you can put a very large gilly kettle on top. I recommend a very large gilly kettle, stew pot sized gilly kettle. And the flame's going to go up the funnel on the inside of that pot. The gilly kettle works by having an interior funnel and the exterior walls. And the flame goes up the funnel in the middle to heat the material outside around it. And so that's a very efficient way to heat your food quickly. So you can quickly make a stew without having to set up a fire pit. You just set up your tents, you have your tripod, and your stew pot is already getting toward a boil. And then once it's burned down even more, and it's a little short plug of a cylinder with flame coming out, now it's a tea candle that you can take into your tent safely. And when it burns down and burns out, there's going to be a ring of char that's left over, and it's still going to have some wax residue. And that's what you can strike an ember into in the morning to start your morning campfire. You got your fire starter right there. So that's a life cycle of utilities that saves you a few hours every day in overland travel. And it also has utilities where you can trumpet the flame as a signal flare. So you can be on a separate mountaintop and you can Morse code signal to people at night, and they're going to see you from miles away. If you're lost in the woods and you want to signal to a helicopter, this is a much easier way to flare to a helicopter than a one-time use flare that's just going to burn out. You can also place a ceramic plug in the hole at the base and turn it upside down and just push it into the soil, and that will snuff the flame temporarily. You will build up a reservoir of wax gas that will coat the surface, and it'll stay hot. So as soon as you turn it over and pull the plug out, you can reignite it easily. And there's different sizes. There's the big ones, the Scotch candle sized. There's smaller ones that you could use as kind of like sparklers on 4th of July, little ones that kids could run around with if they know fire safety. And it's very easy to mass produce once you have the equipment, and it's a low cost compared to firecrackers because firecrackers use gunpowder, while this is just wax and wood. So that has a number of different utilities. Also, if you're making a thick fiber paper and you permeate it with a thick layer of wax, then you can spool the wax paper up into a tube and melt it so it seals. And now the same concept, you're burning a flame up through the middle of that pipe, and the flame comes out the top and it slowly burns through the wax and the paper. So you could have those set as candles, 3 of them in a mug. You got 3 little mug pockets, and they each have a hole in the bottom. And that mug can have a metal reflector on the backside. And the metal reflector means that when you're holding it and the 3 candles are on the other side of this metal reflector, then the candle light is not in your eyes. So your eyes don't adjust to the brightness. And the reflector is reflecting all that candle light forward, so it's a much better candelabra or handheld candle for looking around at night. And if you need to, you can take one of these and trumpet it as a miniature flamethrower. So it would have helped the monasteries to defend themselves from the Vikings because they had big mustaches and you can ignite their nose hairs. That stops people pretty quick. Just an idea. There you go.